Yeah, guys, very good morning to all of you. So we are starting with the arrays today. Okay, this is the last the chapter we are going to discuss in this Excel on the course. We have covered everything, and I generally cover this arrays at the very end because arrays are very complex, and initially also you find them a little difficult from the operating perspective, from the understanding perspective as well, because they work, a little differently. They don't work like the other formulas, and their concept is also something which is different from the other formulas. But I can tell you one thing: if you're going to master in the arrays, I'm talking about the Excel arrays, not the programming arrays. Okay, if you're going to master the Excel arrays, then you can do very complex task very easily. Okay, and this is also going to give you a lot of edge over the other students, because many of the excel users whom I have seen in my 10 years of career, they don't actually use the arrays. They don't know about the arrays, which is very sad. So I'm very excited actually today to launch this arrays series for you, and we're going to talk what is the use of the array, why we use it, and obviously what are the fundamentals, what are the basics, what things we need to take care of, and how basically when you go and build the arrays, how you can go and cross check the things. So we start from the basics and gradually we will build up the course and move towards the advanced side. Now, the first thing which I want to tell you, so let's quickly go and check that first of all, why we need the arrays. Okay, now guys, the thing is, if I go and create here, let's say A, B, C, D, E, and F, and maybe let's say I write here Monday, I write here Sunday, Tuesday, all that stuff. Now, if I ask you that I want to check what? I want to check that how many the number of characters I have in this total table. Number of characters means that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 plus 3, 9, and so on. What will you do? Well, most of you would say that you want to you will go and simply put the length function here, and you just go and drag the formula, and finally here at the end you press alt equals to, and this is a direct formula to put the in sum sign, right? I told you this. So this is going to be the 15, and the answer comes as 15. Now my question is that, what if you do not, if I don't give you this liberty to go and use the all these cells, one by one? I want you to build a one formula in one cell. Now you would say that in a single formula, in a single cell, I can always use a single, I can always use a single cell, right? I cannot go and use the cells like this, because if I go and use like this, what will happen? You will get the error, because you cannot go and use two cells. You cannot use the two cells values in a single cell. We all know this. And this is where generally we go and use the golden rule, like when you drag the formula the downwards, your row keeps on incrementing from left to right, the formula changes, all that, the beginning things which we did in the cell referencing I'm talking about. Okay, so what to do in this now, the specific case? Okay, in this case, if I have to use the multiple values in a single cell, then I have a tool with me which is called the arrays. So you can consider the arrays as something, a technology, or maybe as a feature in Excel, a tool, a very dynamic, powerful tool in Excel, which helps you in doing the calculations in a single cell coming from the multiple cells. Okay, now for example, so how I can do this, how I can show you this, that this is going to work as an array. I mean, I can make this work as an array. Okay, now see, what I'm going to do is, over here, instead of pressing the enter, we always press the enter, that I'm going to press control shift enter. Now the moment I press control shift enter, to your surprise, the first thing is that the answer is not coming an error. it is coming here as in what? It is coming here as 1. Now 1 is not correct, I know that, because if I have to calculate the length of f2 to f3, it should give me 2, but it is giving me 1. Actually, it is not giving you 1, it is actually giving you 1 comma 1. I'll show you that, but understand what is happening here. First of all, I used control shift enter. Okay, the control shift enter is how the Excel inserts the array. So whenever you want to use the array formula, beat any formula, like here we are using the length function, you can use max sum, you can use offset. I mean, we will be going to use a lot of Excel functions, but every time we use them, we don't press the enter, we go and press the control shift enter. And you can see when you press control shift enter, Excel also inserts the curly bracket in, you can see this is a curly bracket, this is a curly bracket. Now this is something you don't have to worry. When you go and press control shift enter, this automatically generates. Okay, just an indication that the formula is entered as an array. So maybe if you find someone's Excel file, guys, right, as somebody has sent you a file and you see there these curly brackets, this is how basically you go and check, okay, that this is actually a array formula. Now first rule, you understand that you always have to press control shift enter, and then these curly brackets, they are going to come, which we don't have to insert manually. They're going to insert automatically when you go and press control shift enter. The another thing which you learned, that when we are going to use the arrays, whenever we want to do the calculation on multiple cells, okay, on multiple cells, but we want the result in one cell, right? As we move ahead, the things will be clearer, don't worry, right? We are just starting. Okay, now I want to show you what is the another interesting thing in this exercise, in this array is, you see here the answer is 1, which we know it is not, because if I have to, if let's say I'm using the array and I'm saying that I want to calculate the length of these two cells, it should give me the 2. It should give me the 2, isn't it? Now the thing is, actually in the arrays, when you get the answer, okay, when you get the answer, to see the actually answer, to see the actual values, what you need to do is you need to go here in the formula bar, click on the sign, this equals to, make sure you click out, the this next to equals to sign. I mean, don't click here, don't click here, or don't either click before the equals to sign. My experience says that it can hang your file if you go and use a long formula. This is a small formula. Now when you click out, inside this called the equals to sign, some people also go and select this. I told you, though this is not a new option, students who have joined in this series and they didn't join me in all the previous, all the things, the chapters we covered, I want to tell them, if they do not know, whenever you want to expand the formula, whenever you want to see the result of the formula, you can select that entire thing and you can press F9. F9 is a shortcut key, okay, if you're using the Microsoft Windows, okay, and you working in this Excel. I'm not talking about the other operating systems like Apple or the Mac, because I think there the shortcut keys work differently. So I will be talking about only the Windows, if you're using the window, okay, and this is the Excel we are obviously using on the Windows, okay, any window. So I go and press F9. Now I'm going to press F9, see what is going to happen. Look at this. Can you see this? This is very important. Now if you understand this, then you understand basically the power of arrays, then you understand what goes behind the scenes. Now see, F9 first of all is a shortcut key which we use to expand the formula, to see the results, I mean how the formula is going to behave, okay. Now when I say F9, basically I see inside the formula. Now the formula here says 1:1, you can see here, right? Now what is 1:1? Basically when you selected F2 to F3 and you pressed Ctrl Shift Enter, how arrays works, what they do is they individually work on all the cells. They individually work on all the cells and give their output, but the point is that output is not shown to you when you go and press Ctrl Shift Enter. Okay, for example, let me press escape because I want to get out of it. I want to restore my formula. So don't press enter. Okay, if you go and press enter for the for example, just by mistake you press control, you press enter. The moment I press enter and I come back to this cell, I will not be able to see the formula. Okay, so don't worry about it. You can simply go and say control Z. You can undo it, or maybe when you go and press F9, I'm going to press F9 again. You don't really have to select this entire formula. Okay, you can also go and simply click on this equals to sign, and you can say that I will go and press F9, and this is how you see the answer. Now I see my output. If it is coming good, nice. If it is not coming, then I obviously I will go and investigate the things. In my case, 1:1 is the correct answer because I have here A and B. So what I do is I simply go and press escape. The moment you press escape, you don't have to do then the control Z, because escape will basically make your exit from this the formula result, and you would be able to see the formula, the original formula. Okay, now if I go and press here, let's say for example, if I go and press here the apple, the moment I press enter, you need to understand one more thing. Look at this, it says 5. Now why it says 5? Because what happens when you apply the array, formula, guys, doesn't matter how many cells you are using. Even I go and use this entire range, the value of the first cell is going to be visible here, and the value of the rest cells are not going to be visible. But that does not mean they are not there. They are there, but to check their values, what you can do is, what we guys do is, we go and press F9. Now you understanding how the arrays works. Okay, so apple was giving me 5, but that does not mean the 5 is the answer. Basically the answer is actually 5 plus 1, because I'm calculating the length. Now you would ask me, so how I can make this 6? Obviously this is the question. Okay, now it is very simple. Once I am done with my cross checking, which I will always go and cross check, after using the F9, and I see the output is coming correct, I obviously go and press escape, and now what you are supposed to do, if you remember this formula, initially what you can do, you can always do one thing. How I used to learn is, when I go and press F9, like this, I see the formula. Okay, I simply go and copy this. I have copied it, control C. Now I press escape, and over here, somewhere here, I go and press control V. So this way, this will tell me actually that what is the result of this, because 5:1 is not for the user do not know about this. User just wants the answer. When you go and press control shift enter, you need the 6 here. You do not need the 5, isn't it? But 5 is coming because the first value is apple. Okay, if I go and change this to YY, obviously when I go and press enter, this should be now 2. You getting my point? Like, right? So this, if I go and press F9 right now, this is going to give me now 2:1. Okay, so understand this. But if you go and change here, let's say I go and write here band, this is not going to change this 5. As I said, the first value of the cell is going to be visible here. But if you go and press F9, you would find that the answer actually says the number of the characters which we have. You can see here 5:3. So guys, arrays always works, okay, but they don't give you the exact number unless you go and do something. And this is something I'm going to do right away. Anyways, let me just change this to B. Now if I want to, if I have to sum these, if I have to find out the number of characters in these two cells, obviously you have calculated here, 5 and 1. So what you do, you simply do this, that finally you're going to sum them, isn't it? Number 1 and number 2, right? Like we summed here the 19. But if I'm targeting these two cells, then I will go and sum like this. The same way, the same concept you're going to apply in the array. Now this is not 5, we know this is actually 5:1. So what you do, you come here in the equals to sign and you simply write here the sum function, and then start the bracket and then close the bracket, and now go and press control shift enter. Now you have your answer. Look at this. This is so dynamic, this is so interesting and new thing for you, isn't it? Again, the curly brackets are inserted. So basically what we do is, we can use here max, min, sum, average, whatever you want. For example, if I have to find out what is the maximum number, I can go and say max, control shift enter. and you can see the max number is coming here 5. If I go and change this to maybe, let's say I see that this is boyish, okay, the moment I press enter, you see the answer automatically changes, because now this array shows 5:6, and in the 5:6, if you're going to apply the max function, basically you are telling the Excel to find out what is the maximum value out of 5 and 6, and that is the reason you find here the answer called 6. Okay, you're getting my point. Again, if you want to go, let's say you want to find out the minimum, then you can use Control Shift Enter and you have the minimum answer also. If you want to find out, let's say the average, so you can go and use the average, and I can say Control Shift Enter. You see the average is also coming, right? So with these, basically the concept, you go and use your the arrays. Okay, now you have to wait, because I know many of you must be thinking that if I have to use the array just for this simple task, why would I go and take so much trouble, I mean I can simply go this way. Can I not calculate the length and I can simply go and sum this? Why to go for this Control Shift Enter and then to go and do the post-mortem of this formula by pressing F9? This is a complex thing, isn't it? Definitely this is a very simple formula. Generally for the simple things we don't use the arrays. First of all, let me clear this. Okay, we use the arrays for the complex task, and the complex tasks are yet to come, and then you find that how fascinating, how powerful the array can be, because I'm going to tell you that perhaps you would have never imagined that you can also build the longest, the formula in Excel. Perhaps you can use 6-7 functions together, and you can do the things which no one can imagine can be done without the Excel VBA. Okay, so these are just the basics, the fundamentals. I'm doing it for you now. Same way, so I have to get 19, my answer. I want to check how many cells I have got. Okay, so what I do is, instead of going by this long way that I first write the formula and then go and sum them, I can also go, because if I know the array, I can simply go and say, let me go and calculate the length. So in the length, generally we use the single cell, you all know that, but since this is an array, so array can actually use multiple cells. Go by this fundamental, go by this understanding, okay, that if you are able to apply a formula on a single cell, so the same formula can be applied on the table as well, a table which consists of multiple cells, but only possible if you go and say that this is going to be a Control Shift Enter. This is going to be an array formula. So now if I go and press enter, what will happen? We now when I go and press enter, I see here the answer, which is called the 3. Okay. Now why it is showing me the 3? If I start from F2, okay, if I start from F2, the first number is apple. It is giving me the wrong answer. Now I go and press Control Shift Enter. The moment I press Control Shift Enter, look at this. The first value is coming 5. Now I'm very excited to go here and press F9. I go and press F9, guys. Look at this. Now finally you have the output. I go and Control C. It is already selected. Now I press Escape. Let's exit from this result, and I'm going to paste it here just to show you how the things are working. Now this is not just a 5. Okay, of course this is a wrong answer till the time you do not go and use the sum function, because if I have to calculate the number of the characters, ultimately I have to sum. So basically this 5, 1, 1, 1 and 3, 3, 3, this is now showing here in a single cell. This is the only difference. Here you were using the multiple cells, but here you're using everything in a single cell. That is the only difference. So basically, if you look at this, from the broader perspective, you're not learning something new. Something new in the sense that you're using the same formulas. Here I'm using the same formula, length function. We have used length function so many times. It is such a basic formula, but it is just that this time it is used in a different way. I'm not here telling you something new in terms of a formula. I'm telling you a new feature, okay, that press Control Shift Enter, go and use the F9 and all that stuff. Okay, so Once I know my the value is correct after using the F9 key, so I go and write here the F9. Always remember this F9 key. This is basically to key to expand the formula. Okay, and this is not just for the arrays. Otherwise, if you go and use the normal function also, people go and use it. I'll just show you in case if you do not remember. But first of all, let us go and see how we can go and sum this. So I go and write the sum function, start the open bracket and close bracket, and the moment you're going to press enter by mistake, for example, you will get the wrong answer. Obviously, you have to go and write here control shift enter, and finally you have the correct answer. This is really cool option. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about the F9 option. Maybe some of you don't remember this. Now for example, what do you want to do? I want to sum 2. You can use any formula. F9 works in the entire Excel in all the formulas. Now for example guys, what I do, I go and say sum of G2 to GF. I go and press enter. This is just a normal formula. Okay, now I want to basically what I want to do is I want to go and add one more thing. Okay, what I want to do is I want to sum one more range. For example, this is a range I want to sum, and then I go and say sum again, and this range, maybe let's say this is the range J4 to J8, for example. Okay, I go and press enter, and we will have the sum which is 34, which is correct. Okay, now for example, you want to see that what is the output of this specific formula. So what you can do in this case, now you go and select the formula like this. You have to highlight the formula because it is not a single formula. It is, I mean, we are not using the one function. This is a formula which consists 3 functions. So I have to be specific that which actually, the function, the middle one, the left one, or the right one I want to execute. So that is the reason I'm going to select this. Once you have selected this, you go and press F9. Okay, the moment you press F9, this tells you that what is the output of this function, right? So F9 we use otherwise also. It is not only related with the arrays. It is not limited with arrays. It can be used in rest of the functions also, in the normal functions also. Okay, so same way, I let me just control Z it. Okay, undo it, I go and press enter. So that is how it is. Now generally how I used to do, I used to tell you is that when you want to do any the formula analysis, that how the values are coming, you go in the formula and you click on the evaluate formula, right? And in the evaluate formula you find that cell which you have selected, and it has a formula. So when you click on the evaluate, all the underlying items are going to be executed one by one. So if I go and click on the evaluate, the first thing I will get is that this is the sum, which is G2 to G5, right? Okay, and then this is the underline item, right? This we have seen before also. So this is the another approach. Okay, but sometime what we do is we don't want to go in this entire cell, because I'm interested only in this cell. For example, I don't want to go and see all these the rest of the function output. Okay, because evaluate formula will go and do every calculation step by step. I simply want to target my this cell, this function. So this is the fastest and the shortcut, that you simply go and select this and go and press F9 like this. Okay, now just in case, let's say if I don't select this sum G7 G7 colon G8, and I go and press F9. Okay, the moment you press F9, you can see what happens. Basically the formula goes, it disappears, and you find here the final answer. Okay, so this is not a fruitful result. This is not going to help me. Let me press escape. So now you understand why it is important to press, to first select the formula, the function, and then you go and press F9. Because if you go and press F9 like this, maybe your cursor is here or maybe your cursor is here, what will happen, the formula, the entire formula will be executed, and you will not be able to find out the actual value of one of the functions you are using in that. So make sure you go and highlight it. Okay, well, in case if you have a single formula, then you need not to do anything, because you already know there is a single formula, so you can just go and press F9. That is how it is. Okay, so F9 is something which is not restricted to arrays. It can be used in the other formulas as well. Okay, okay. So now we have got a little bit idea that how the arrays works, how and why we use the arrays. Now somebody who is using this entire formula and then adding, I think this is the best approach. But again, as I said, that maybe some people they find that why the heck they go and use all that stuff. They don't want to use all this control shift enter. So perhaps they will go for this, and I don't disagree with that. As somebody who does not know the real power of arrays, yes, up till this point, if you say that I want to go for this, I won't blame you, right? But naturally, gradually, when we go and learn the actual stuff, you then I don't think so you would ever go and avoid arrays. Okay, so let us go and do a little bit the more practice on this. Now I want to do I want to go in the sheet the two. So this is my sheet number one, and this is my sheet number two. Let's go and do a little bit more practice. Okay, let's just for our fun. For example, I can write here 2 3 5 and all that stuff. Okay, now let me ask you, Rahul. Rahul, are you on the call? Yeah, okay. So Rahul, now you need to tell me, if I ask you that we want to sum this, okay, in this cell, obviously I know what you're gonna do, right, isn't it? You will simply say that, okay, no problem, that you go and use this, the formula like this, you sum this and just go and press enter, isn't it? But just for the fun, just for more understanding, as a practice, I want you to develop a formula using the arrays. I want 27 in this cell, but this time I want it that you should go and use the array. So what are you gonna do? Well, um, yes, absolutely. So what you can do is you can simply simply go and select this entire range, for example, like this, and if I go and press enter, for example, you will get only the 5. Now the 5 is a wrong answer, we know that. Okay, it should come at least 2, because this is the cell I have on the top. Now the thing is, I did not press any control shift enter, and you know that we never work with the cells like this. If I have to use a cell, if I have to use any value from any cell, I prefer using, I prefer linking one cell with the one cell only. But as I said, that arrays can do all the magic. So what you can do, you can close this here, and you can now press control shift enter. The moment you press control shift enter, you start seeing the exact value. And now, as I said, that what you can do, you can go in the equals to sign. After the equals to, you click here and press F9 and look at this, right? This is very interesting. I copy this output and I press escape, and I go and write the answer here. So now you see how we can create the arrays. Okay, now obviously this is your table. So if this is my table, which is coming from this, the array formula, I can go and sum them if I have to, so I go and say sum, I start the bracket and I close one bracket and I press control shift enter, and I have the same answer. Again, I'm repeating, you should not ask me right away that, why to go for this option when we have this option available. Obviously, as I said, that we are yet to start with the real examples on the arrays. Okay, so these are the very simple things, and nobody likes to use the arrays for these things. Arrays are used for the complex task, but to do the complex task, first of all we have to learn the basics, the fundamentals. Okay, all right, so so far we I have already written the comments here. Control Shift F9 is already there. Okay, you can zoom in this in case if you don't find this the complete window viewable. You can go and use this zoom slider. Right now it is on the 150%. Remember that. Okay, now now what I want to do is I want to go and do something very interesting. For example, I like to go and create here an exercise, which is what I want to go and say. I have here, let's say, a student. Okay, I have here Ajay, I have Roy, I have Andy, and I have you, Rahul, and of course Cheryl, and then Matt. So you have some names here. For example, I write here Ajay 2 times, and I write here Andy, for example, 2 times. And let's say we have their marks here. Okay, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 10, 30, 20. 10 maybe, let's say it's a salary or whatever it is. So we have got these numbers. Okay, now what I'm asking you is that what we have to do in this situation. There is a question. The question is, let me go and write the question. What I want to do is I want to calculate the total marks of Andy. Okay, so we want to basically count what are the total marks of Andy. For example, we have 30 here and 10, so we should get here 40. Okay, now we have to do this using array. You can use the sumif function also. It is very easy. We have done this before. You remember the sumif series. So in the sumif you simply go and select this and you say that I want to put the criteria as Andy, and then you go and use the sum range and press enter. Okay, and you find the answer. But in arrays, how you going to do it? Because through this exercise I want to give you some more understanding on the arrays, which is arrays can also be multiplied. You can multiply two arrays, you can multiply three arrays, you can also add them, you can also subtract them. Okay, so the first thing which I want to do is now I will go and find out that where I have got the Andy. For example, if you go and say that if this is going to be equals to Andy or not, this is how we can write, I can say that if my I2 is equals to Andy, and then I go and drag this, and you see we will have a comparison done. Wherever we have a false, that means that does not have Andy, and wherever we have true, that means the Andy is there. For example, you can see here we have got here two true. Now I told you, students who did not join my session before, in the Excel the true is always a 1 and false is always considered as 0. Remember that. That means if I ask you that can I add this true and true again, B9 plus B9, many of you who didn't who weren't there when we were talking about all this in the previous series, they may say that the error will come because you can't add the text items. But in Excel, true is not a text. This is what I'm trying to tell you. True is 1. So when you go and add 2 plus true, that makes it 2. When you go and add false plus false, it is going to be 0. When you go and add true plus false, obviously that means you're adding 1 plus 0. Okay, and when you go and multiply the true with false, what will happen? If you multiply anything with 0, that becomes 0. Okay. Now we have to use the same concept here in the arrays. Okay, I'll tell you how we can do it. Now the first thing is that let us go and check that in this entire range where we have Andy. Okay, so using the arrays, how you are going to do this? This is a new thing for you. So the first thing which we do is we select this complete table, and so instead of now saying that this cell equals to Andy and then this cell equals to Andy, this cell equals to Andy, like we did here, since this is an array, so I can take all the inputs from these multiple cells into one input, into one cell, and that is the beauty of the arrays, as I said. So you simply go and select the entire table I2 colon I9, and then we are going to say that it is going to be Andy. Okay, this is not a case sensitive, you can write small or capital, whatever. Okay, I close the bracket and now I'm going to press Control Shift Enter. Now when you go and press the Control Shift Enter, you can see that I have got here false, and I go and expand the formula to see the results. So I go and press the F9. Now when I go and press the F9, you can see that this is what exactly is the output is coming. So let's go press Escape. I copied that and I'm going to paste it here. Now you can see that I have got my array, which is exactly this array. Okay, the only difference is that here we have we just created a formula in a single cell. Here what we did is we taken every cell, single cell into calculation, right, which is obviously a lengthy process. So this is how it is. You can go and create this false, false, true, true. Now the next thing is that once we have created this array, we will go and multiply this array with this array. Okay, so how we are going to do that? Now before I go and create that, before I go and multiply this with another array, I want to tell you that basically since this is a false and false is 0 and true is 1, so if you go and multiply this array with, let's say, this, so the first element of the first array is going to be multiplied with the first element of the second array, and same way the second element goes with the second element, the third element goes with the third, the fourth goes with the fourth, right? This is how the calculation happens. So when you go and drag this, wherever you are multiplying the true with the number, that number is coming back, and wherever we have a false, that means wherever you don't have the AND, the number, the output is converted to 0. So eventually you will have the 30 and the 10, and all the rest of the values are 0. So this is the logic, and this is your foundation for the upcoming the lectures, for the upcoming things we are going to do in the arrays. True false, true false. So the quickness you will have in your mind, the creativity, the more creative you can be in developing the true and the false logics, the more simpler will be the array for you. Okay, so now we have to multiply this. So I'm going to multiply this. So let's go back here in the formula. I go and press the star, and I'm going to multiply this, and I go and simply close this. Right, this is how it is. So this is how you can create the array. Look at here. Okay, this looks little bigger in terms of the appearance, so I think we can go and refer to this instead of here. Now this is my first array, open bracket, close bracket, and the second array. Now one thing which I must tell you, I must warn you that arrays, when you multiply, make sure that the number of values you're multiplying, both the arrays, if you're multiplying, let's say, or adding or whatever, both the arrays should have the same number of values. Like here I have 2 to 9. So 2 to 9 is what, how many values you will have? Obviously you will have here, I think, 9 values, right? 8 values, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so you have here the 8 values. Same way, this is also an array which consists of 8 values. So now I go and multiply this. I press Ctrl Shift Enter. Now when you go and press the Ctrl Shift Enter, you see that you finally get here 0, which is obviously coming because the first element is not AND. If I go and change this to AND, you can see that I have started getting the array is giving me the 10. Okay, so this is how it is. Okay, so now if I go and let me undo it. If I go and see the result of this array, if I go and press F9, you see that I have here 0 0 30 0 0 0 0 1 0. Okay, and this is the same output which I was telling you. So this is how the output is coming. This is the same array, right? The only difference is that we are doing this in the single cell, right? So finally, what is the next thing, guys? Now I want to total the AND. So I will go here. Once I know that the output is coming correct, I will simply go and sum it, and I say that this is how, Control Shift Enter, and finally you have your answer. This is so simple. Okay, if you want to change this Andy to something else, of course you can do that. You can press, let's say, Roy, Control Shift Enter, and the Roy is just a one time coming, it's a name which is not repeating, so you have the final answer here. This is how it is. Okay, or maybe you can link this cell. You can also say one thing, that I want to get the output whatever I go and write in the, let's say, the C13. Okay, so I'm saying E equals to C13. Control Shift Enter. Now I go and write here obviously something in the C13. So let's say we go and write here Ajay. The moment I press enter, you see that the array is giving you this 10 plus 20. So this is really working. So if I put it back Andy. So I mean, you can also go and use the references. So this is just a one single formula which is giving you the total. Okay, so you can use this, but the point is, well, we will not use it. My first preference would be the SUMIF, but yes, one thing which I wanted to tell you is that how you can go and create the true false combinations, and then you go and multiply the arrays or add the arrays. That depends upon question to question. Now just in case, if I go and change this array, for example, I go and make this as array 10. Now 2 to 10, look at this, the size of this array is increased. I press Ctrl Shift Enter. When you press Ctrl Shift Enter, guys, I told you that you will get the error. Okay, so we have to make sure that the number of cells we are using in any array, and if it is multiplying with another array, or maybe we are adding, subtracting, the number of the values should be same. If I'm using here 8 values, the other array, if I'm going to multiply or add, or minus anything, then that has to be same, because the first array connects with the first array, of the another array, the second array of the first array connects with the second array of the second array, the third of the first connects with the third of the second. I mean this way, okay? And you don't have to tell, that happens automatically, right? Now we can do one thing. We can quickly go and I have created this a simple a table over here. Before starting the session, I was just thinking that what sort of examples I can give you, keeping this beginner series in mind. So I created here one simple, this exercise for you. We have got here the name, the marks, and the year. You have three headers. These are the three questions which you are supposed to do, and I will like to see that how good you can do it now, and then if you will not be able to do it, we'll go and talk about it. The first question, the question is, find out the total score of Ajay. So in this table you have to find out the total score. So this is very easy. You have here Ajay coming one time, two time, three times, whatever. I want the sum. So this is 100 and 100 plus 20, 20 plus 10, 130, right? Create an array. There is no other option. You cannot use any other function. This is the array series. Then I want to find out the maximum score of Andy. This is again easy. I showed you how you can use the max function. The last one is little tricky, and I'm really very eager to see who is going to do this. You have to find out the total score of Ajay where the year is greater than 2001. So this time I do not want the total of Ajay. I do not want all Ajays to be totaled. I want only those Ajay to be totaled where, let's say, the passing year is greater than 2001. So this value should be excluded. We are not going to include this. You got to add this one, and you got to add, this one. Okay, so you have to go and build this sort of array. So you guys can go and practice on this, and in the next lecture when we meet, before we start with the new things, we would like to go and talk about these three questions, but I want to see that how do you score. Okay, all right, so I'll see you then guys next time. Thanks so much. Bye bye.